Greetings everybody, one and all. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to talk about Rudolf Steiner and how he's telling us that we're in a certain era that needs humanity to change and become aware of what it's doing, where it's going, the future. And he says that in this era, this time of change, humanity should be waking up, and to do that it becomes aware of its consciousness soul. And having a consciousness soul is for people who are aware of what's going on. And it's also a conscience soul, because with this conscience soul we are using our conscience and using that to develop and make ourselves aware of what everybody else is going through, what the planet's going through, and how everything's hopefully evolving onwards. And with this consciousness soul should be bringing an awareness of we are all humans, we are all one love, and that, all that. You know, there should be no differences between us all with what your gender is or what your nationality is. And we are to be aware of that, you know, people are suffering. We're using our conscience to try and help those people and ourselves. And I've said in many of my shows, we need to work on ourselves first. We need to develop ourselves, develop that consciousness and our conscience. So the consciousness is being awake, being aware, being alive. And your conscience is being awake and aware of what is right and wrong. And I've said in many shows that your conscience is your link to the divine. And when people ignore their conscience, they're ignoring the divine. The conscience is niggling away at us and telling us how to stay on the right path, the path of truthfulness and the path of light. And I've had people getting in touch about, you know, I end a lot of my shows with love and light to one and all. Well, we do need love, and I'm talking about the unconditional love that we should all have within ourselves when we're conscious and when we're conscious. We have a conscience of understanding what the love is. And I think some people were kind of mistaking it all with the other kind of loves that there are. If you know your Greek philosophers, there's different types of love: brotherly love, sexual love, romantic love. And I'm talking about the Philadelphia type of love, of that we're all one world, one love, and should all be loving of each other, but in a way that we're using our hearts to express love and unconditional love to one and all, whatever they're going through, whatever their gender they are, whatever nationality they are. And it can be quite difficult in these times, because we're seeing people being very odd and weird, and a lot of hatred going on, and a lot of confusion as to what people are. You know, I myself have done odd shows about, I'm concerned about how the sexuality is being confused between people and with people within themselves. And I wonder if it's because they're not listening to their conscience and their consciousness. Instead, I think some people are just trying to go with a trend, and some people obviously have felt different in their bodies. But still, they are people that are developing themselves. So we still need to have an understanding for them. And sometimes it's difficult to walk in someone else's shoes. We don't want to walk in somebody else's shoes as ourselves. We need to try and understand how other people think, feel, and why they're acting like they do. And with this consciousness soul that Rudolf Steiner's talking about, he's saying that it's going to help humanity develop itself onto the next stage, but it also helps this planet. And obviously many of us are concerned about how this planet's being treated by people that have no conscience about what they're doing to the planet. You know, we all know there's people raping the planet to get what they can, to make lots of money, make their lives easier. You know, I myself, where I'm living, there's trees being cut down everywhere, and a lot of them are not sick trees. I just wonder if it's people trying to save money, or councils trying to save money so they don't have to look after the trees. But then people can't have a conscience if they're just doing it to save money. They have no concern about the environment. I was actually lied to by one tree cutter, because I actually went and asked him whether he was trimming the tree or taking the tree down, and he went, "Oh, I'm just trimming it." But when I came home, the tree had gone. He was probably worried I was going to chain myself to the tree, because if I'd known that, I might well have gone home and got a chain and chained myself to the tree. Anyway, that's my little rant about trees. We need to protect the trees. Obviously, if a tree's dangerous or is ill, then it needs care and being looked after, and maybe it does need to be taken down. But I'm seeing too many trees that are healthy being taken down. Anyway, enough about trees. I love my trees. Protect the trees. We need the trees to breathe. But it's all part of this ecosystem of going round. And when we've got this consciousness soul, we're aware of how the planet works and how it's all part of a system that we want to be a part of and give our bit to and work with it. You know, springtime's coming, all the new insects and flowers are coming up, and they need to be nurtured, and they give us the oxygen we need, and we give them the CO2 they need. So it's all a system that's working together. And I'm sure I'm talking to the converted here. I'm sure it's the you kind of people that are watching my shows are looking after the planet as well. So I wanted to explain that Steiner was saying how important it was to get on board of this consciousness soul. And you know, Gurdjieff talks about this as well, being awake, being aware. And with our conscious soul, if we're listening to it, it does make our lives easier, because we are then following the natural path. When we ignore our conscience and we go off and follow different paths and go down the other way, it does tend to cause problems in our lives, and we come up against obstacles, which hopefully we get over. But I do find being attuned to what my conscience is saying and trying to follow my consciousness soul, or being part of this consciousness soul that Steiner is talking about, my life is easier. There is a lightness about it. And we're all trying to be light workers here and follow the light path. So we need to go forward listening to our conscience, which I also think is probably our higher selves trying to talk to us. And if we've got that still moment, we can hear them or feel it or sense that higher self speaking to us. And I know from my own, I suppose in my past, sometimes I'm ignoring that and thinking, I know better, or I'm rushing to get an answer, or I'm rushing to get a result, when I just should have sat back, you know, maybe closed my eyes, I don't know, but just found that stillness. You know, it doesn't take long to centre yourself. You know, just bring your mind into your heart, take your heart up to your mind, and work with it in that way. But our heart does know what we need, and our mind sometimes tries to interfere and get in the way. So I've been trying to encourage people to read more Steiner, and obviously Gurdjieff, who says the same things, but in, you know, just uses different language in a way. But it all about finding our conscience and being part of the consciousness soul that is out there for everybody, kind of like a universal thing, but we have to tune ourselves into it. And it makes us realise that everything is one. And when we're working with the one, we're being part of the system that's not mechanical. Instead, it's a much more flowing, loving, and I want to say an easier way. This word keeps coming into my head at the moment, and I'm thinking, does that sound, you know, ease? We want ease, not dis-ease. We want to be, our life obviously to be easy. Our material life might not be easy, but we can make our spiritual, soulful, soul-developing life easy by listening to our inner selves and finding our conscience and being aware. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and see you for the next video.